You don't need more leads, you need more pre-sold buyers. And in the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to prove it to you. And I'm also going to show you how you can create more pre-sold buyers for your stuff. Case in point, I work behind the scenes in a lot of bigger companies in the wellness space, in the health coaching space, doing like consulting, fractional CMO work, sales. And one client in particular, they were stuck around 40K per month. And without generating a single new lead, top of funnel, like nothing, just from their existing audience, their Facebook group, emails that they already had, phone numbers that they had, were able to more than double their business. They just hit a record month of $99,000 in cash collected. And now they're on track here in June to hit a $113,000 cash collected month. And so, what I want to impart on you today is you likely don't need more leads. In fact, I had another client, to give you a contrast, much smaller company, and she maybe had 2,000 and some change Facebook friends, not even followers, just like friends. And she was able to generate 197 inbound quote unquote prospects from that. And she generated, I think, 15 clients for her high ticket health coaching company just from that audience. And so it's more so the depth that you're going with your audience and how you are shifting people's beliefs and the systematic way you use to take somebody that is a quote unquote a lead that's in your audience now. Again, whether that's an Instagram page, a Facebook group, an email list, whatever, and being able to create a world for them to be able to become pre-sold. In fact, I remember an old mentor of mine said, the stronger your marketing, the easier the sales become. The weaker your marketing, the harder sales become. And I would argue that the weaker your marketing and your sales, essentially the way you communicate and influence, it's almost impossible. You're like literally chasing clients down. Last point on this, without belaboring this, is I have a client and she was running a lot of top of funnel traffic to her Instagram and she was getting a ton of leads. And she went and started hiring an appointment setting team, a sales closing team, and things were looking really good. And then all of a sudden, things started to crash. And the reason this happened is because she didn't have the foundations. She didn't have like the marketing and sales systems to pre-sell people. And so what was happening is a lot of unqualified leads were coming through her Instagram, follow me ads and DM ads. And therefore she was now paying a setting team who was kind of sucking and they weren't really closing or getting the calls. So it was super inconsistent with how many calls she was getting booked. And then her revenue just went downstream. A lot of unqualified people were getting on calls. And so this happens when people are chasing leads. They're always wanting more leads, and we could do so much more with the people that you already have. So with that said, you hopefully now know it's not just about getting more people into your world. It's about creating the buying belief in the people that are in your world. And once you have that down and you want to scale, now we can scale more traffic, more lead flow into a systematic way of literally getting somebody that doesn't know you, a stranger on the internet, and having your marketing and sales process do the selling for you. So by the time you get somebody on a call, or you might not even need a call anymore to get somebody to buy from you. Does that make sense? And so the first thing that we have to get down in order to create more pre-sold leads is we have to dial in the messaging. The messaging is basically the words that you are using to both connect with your audience and to influence and shift their beliefs into wanting to buy from you. So let's look at this twofold, okay? So the first part of messaging is we need to create that market to message match. Now, if you've generated some decent revenue, you've done 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K months or whatever in your business, you probably have an element of this down. But part of the problem with messaging, and this is where I want you to analyze your current messaging now, is over time as the market sophisticates and a lot more people are coming in online saying maybe similar or the same things that you are, it could become very muddled and it stops working as well. I've seen this happen with multiple businesses where like, dude, two years ago I was crushing and now I'm like backsliding. And a lot of times we need to evolve and fix their messaging. And it's kind of like if you were yelling on a megaphone on social media, but everybody else is, you're going to get heads to turn. but so is everybody else, and nobody knows why you're better than the other person, and so you end up having to like cheapen your rates just to get clients. Versus if you had a dog whistle and you blew that dog whistle, obviously dogs are going to turn. But in this case, dog whistle marketing means that the right ideal clients are going to turn. And this is partly how you position yourself so that you're categorically different than anybody else. So this is the first major point I want you to get down. We need to reposition yourself so you're categorically different than anybody else. And you do this by creating a sub niche. Back in my fitness days, I did this. I was the stubborn belly fat guy. Like I was positioned as that. If anybody was like, dude, I'm struggling to lose stubborn belly fat, they would hire me. I would get clients like that. And so I didn't compete with all these other weight loss coaches or health coaching people. None of that, because people knew me as a stubborn belly fat guy. And that was on purpose. And then the second side of this is you want your messaging to be able to say the right words in the right way, in the right order and sequence, so that we are attracting the right people and repelling the wrong ones. Very, very key. In order to create pre-sold buyers, we do need to repel the people that aren't going to be buyers, period. And a lot of people are afraid to do this because like they get a big stroke of their ego, I guess, when they have more leads or followers and they're like maybe covering for some old high school trauma or something. I don't know. But it's going deeper with the right people. And once we have that, the third part of messaging is shifting their beliefs. It's finding what are these core beliefs that your ideal client has that are keeping them from moving forward with you. And these might be belief around like what they think their problem is. It's now, I'm like, if you think your problem is more leads, and I can actually get you to believe the truth that it's not, we just need to create an environment to create more pre-sold buyers by strengthening your communication and influence. Now you're going to hopefully get better results. So it's like there could be beliefs around the problem they think they have, beliefs around the path they think they need to take, right? So it's like if somebody believes they need more leads, they might waste money on ads when, again, I had a client more than double their business and we're not even running ads. You see what I'm saying? So what do they believe about the path they're taking? All right. And what do they believe about what's even possible for them? What do they believe about the cost of inaction? Do they think they can wait, they can do it themselves? And so there's certain beliefs that we have to shift in order for them to want to buy from you. And so when you can get people to believe a new belief, so let's say like you believe now that I got to create more pre-sold buyers, then you're going to probably be like, well, specifically how, right? What kind of content do I post? Do I run webinars or VSLs, or what's the kind of system? You see what I'm saying? In weight loss, it's like if they believe they need to eat right, not just healthy, they're going to be like, well, how do I do it? And that's where your solution. So then you need to sell somebody on a unique solution, a unique way of doing things, right? I have this whole influence system that I can teach people how to install into their business. Maybe you have like the stubborn fat solution, right? For weight loss. You need to sell a new solution. You need to sell an identity. People are going to buy into an identity. So when like, if you're just trying to sell weight loss or lead generation or whatever, you're competing with a lot of people. But when you can sell somebody on your stuff will help them get to this new identity, this fit parent, this successful business owner, you're going to get way more people bought in. And then of course, the social proof. The more you could tell stories within your messaging, within your content and your marketing, and not just like before and afters or but yada yada, but actual like real stories, and bringing people into a world where they can connect with the audience. They can see how this is possible for them. They can demonstrate how your solution is the thing that they might have been missing. And the more you can start to infuse this stuff into your everyday marketing, your sales process, the more clients that you're going to get that are already pre-sold. So that's the first major thing. Secondly, with this said, it's like pre-sold buyers are created before the sales call. And so when you're creating what I call a content ecosystem, something that's going to help facilitate and nurture your leads. And if you think about a content ecosystem, kind of like a microwave, it's probably a good analogy, where it's heating them up, it's warming people up. What most people do is the old school way of doing things is you might generate a lead top of funnel. Maybe that's organic Instagram content, or it's you're running ads, and your leads are either going to buy from you right away, which is only like 3% of people, or they're going to die. So they buy or die. They rot on this list. If you're Sophisticated, maybe you have like a CRM like Go High Level or HubSpot. If you're kind of winging it, you probably don't have anything, or maybe you have a Google Sheet. But basically, they're just like they're rotting on this digital list and dying. The most people that I at least see, they don't have a really good ecosystem. And so a good ecosystem does consist of something top of funnel like Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn if you're crazy. And then an email list, having an email list that's part of this ecosystem. And then having a long form channel where they can live in, like a YouTube or a podcast, something they can consume long form content from you regularly. That is a what I would call the content triangle. A fun analogy for this is like the Bermuda Triangle, where I'm here in Florida, so between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, legends say that like ships and planes get lost at sea there. They get sucked in by this mysterious force. That's kind of what a good well done content ecosystem does, is it sucks people in. In this way, you have a place to communicate your messaging, and this is where we distribute the right words in the right way. We make sure, depending on the platform, you have the right order and sequence of them, and this allows people to go through this buying journey of being able to connect with you as a human being. You're able to shift their beliefs and their perspectives. You're able to tell great stories and ultimately create that buying belief in them so that they're already sold before the call. And when you get onto a sales call with them, at this point, if you've done this right, it's more of a logistical conversation to where you're A, seeing if they're a good fit, and B, they're just making sure, like, how do I do time? It's more of a time and money thing, right? Maybe you're helping them overcome a fear or something. So that's the key. And then sometimes I've had clients, they don't even need sales calls at this point. They could sell like on a workshop or a masterclass or whatnot, which leads me to my next point of this, right? Is being able to facilitate live masterclasses or workshops at least once a month is huge. This is one of the things that my client that went from 40K to 99K a month was running regular workshops. In fact, we started doing bi-weekly ones at first, and now we've kind of peeled it back to doing it monthly. And this could be live in a Facebook group, this could be a Zoom workshop, but having something to where you're bringing people together and it kind of acts as a video sales letter. It's like a long form video sales letter is what a really good workshop is, where you're not necessarily pitching or selling or doing anything like that. You're giving value, you're shifting beliefs, you're giving these ahas and epiphanies and insights. You're leaving time for Q&A, and you're inviting people into the next step with you. And when you can do this well, these workshops in conjunction with the content ecosystem, it will help you create a lot more pre-sold buyers. This is a huge, huge conversion mechanism that I've used for years in all of my businesses and that I've had lots of clients use as well. And so one of the things to look out for is when you are on a sales call with somebody, if you take sales calls and somebody seems a little confused or skeptical still, or there's just a lot of kind of baggage they're holding where you feel like you're almost having to convince them, this is an opportunity for you to know that either the content ecosystem is not set up right. You're not actually shifting beliefs. You're not creating that buying belief in people, or B, your messaging is just attracting the wrong people. And so these are the two areas that you want to focus on fixing. And so this all comes down to just really focusing on sales driven communication, where it's not necessarily like, dude, if you're using, say, ChatGPT or Claude and like that's how you're coming up with your content, so is everybody else. You know what I mean? And so you're going to look the same as everybody else. So it's really focusing on creating the right touch points. And this is why when we design like a good content ecosystem, it's making sure that the messaging is synergistic across all three, like all the touch points in there. And that way, when people are going through the journey, you're getting the right person to build trust with you faster. You're getting them to believe what you need them to believe faster. And that way you could cut the sales cycle down, which could take you sometimes months down to weeks or even days. And so the real game to this, to truly creating pre-sold leads, is you having to become the obvious choice. And it starts with how you're positioned, your messaging and your positioning. When you're categorically different than everybody else and your messaging is doing the job of connecting with the right people, dog whistle messaging, and also shifting their beliefs, and then you frame this around a good ecosystem, a good content ecosystem, the next thing that you're going to know is that you have people coming to you and they're going to be saying your positioning. Like I always have people being like, "You're the messaging guy, you're the influence guy, you're the stomach belly fat guy." That's how you know you're doing it very well because they come to you to solve a very specific problem. And when you could do this right, you will find that you don't need to constantly chase more leads. You will start having more pre-sold buyers coming to you. And at that point, if you want to scale, it just becomes putting more fuel on the fire. I hope this helps. Let me know your biggest takeaway down below. And if you found this video helpful, click subscribe for some more.